Stampers. My name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. I have a pretty little card and it is a version of the Dutch door fold, and I've started messing around with the Pansy suite. So I've got a card that is a birthday card, but it sure could be just about anything. Let's just get started. Here is my card. Isn't that pretty? I have been messing around today with this beautiful shimmer vellum that we have available to us. So here are the colors of the vellum. There is this one, which is that beautiful soft succulent, and I used a little bit of that on my card. Isn't that pretty? And then this is the polished pink, very pretty. This is the beautiful Evening Evergreen. Isn't that just gorgeous? And I'm in love with this color. And then it also comes in, again, the fresh freesia, which I used in this card. And then it comes in the pale papaya. And it is absolutely beautiful. Shimmer on one side and plain on the other. So you could use it any number of ways. And I had a lot of fun with this. I could hardly wait to get my hands on this stuff when it came in. So let me show you what it takes to make this card. And I'm going to show you this cut and fold. And we'll cut our piece together so you learn exactly how to do it. This is the pansy. I just realized my pansy's on here upside down. Oh well, we'll put the next one on right side up. But I used the Evening Evergreen Shimmer Vellum here as the background, and I did a pansy, and I did it a little using the fresh freesia here as the background for the pansy, and then I used Blackberry Bliss to go around the outside of it. I have pansies that in my garden that look like that. And then I used the soft succulent as the back of the leaf, and then the Evening Evergreen on top. So what we need is, I used a thick Whisper White base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and I'm not going to fold it yet because I want to cut it first. Then you need 2 pieces of the Evening Evergreen, and this one is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's the piece in the back. And then we need this piece that is 4 inches by, I think it ended up being 3 1/4. Yes, 3 1/4 for the front of our card. Then we need a piece for the inside, and this piece is actually quite small. It's 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and that is because I wanted to be able to show that beautiful shimmer paper around the edge. So I put my greeting on the front, wishing you a little extra happiness just because you're you. And then on the inside it says happy birthday, and there's still room for you to write your greeting. But this way, this is one of the various takes of the Dutch door. And I've seen lots of different ones. You can cut it much further down the page and then take this top piece and turn it around and do some stamping on it, which hides the stuff you have in the back. Lots of ways to do this card. It's kind of a fun little fold. I've used it in some of my paper pumpkin designs, and it's just a nice little alternative to change things up, especially when you've got a beautiful focal piece like this one. So let me show you, let's see. So you need a piece of scrap white to do your sentiment. Then I have a piece of Daffodil Delight that I cut out some pansy centers. Then I have a scrap of Blackberry Bliss here to cut the outside of my flowers and the bud here. And then I used 2-inch strips of the Evening Evergreen to cut out the pieces that I need from there, the leaves, mostly the outsides. I did cut one the other way, and I'll show it to you when we get there, just to see what it would like, and I decided I liked it the way I've got it on here as well. And then I used a 2-inch strip of the soft succulent, a 2-inch strip of the freesia, so that I could cut all of my flower pieces out. Now, on the dies, this is the die set for the pansy dies. And you can see I've got mine still taped together so that I could put them together on my soft succulent shimmer paper. And then I've got the outside leaves, so I used those. I used this piece, which is the bottom of the pan. It's going to drive me nuts that that's on there upside down. There we go. Now our pansy's right side up, and I'll have to do a little more surgery to that one to fix it. But I used this piece here, and that cuts out this bottom piece. Then you use this piece, and you have to cut 2 of them to make the top petals, and one is resting behind the other. Then you need this, which makes sort of the beard here. This piece here, which cuts out the center. There's a lot of pieces on this. This stem for the bud. Then I used this piece and this piece for the inside and the outside of the flower bud. And so I used quite a few of the dies. Now, on the paper on this, these dies cut out the pansies in the paper. And so that makes for a real easy card if you want to do that. But I love the idea of this being sort of having lots of dimension and kind of sticking up. So there's that, and then you can cut out leaves and stems and all different kinds of things with this die set. Then on the to get this effect, I used my layering circles, and I used the largest and the second largest. And I used the second largest to cut out my piece so that I could highlight my pansy here. And then I used the larger piece on the vellum so that it would be proportional for making a rim. So those are the pieces that I used to get this effect on that. And I suppose you could cut something and cover the inside, but I thought just having the sentiment there worked out pretty well. Okay, so that's what we did, and I will cut those, and I'll show you how I taped them on and cut them and did all of that as we get going, because this is kind of a fun fold to be able to do something with, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did. All right, we're going to start with our base here. Okay, I'm going to show you how we're going to cut this base. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and we are going to cut on this side. Here's your score line right there. See that? And we're going to cut on this side of the score line so that when we cut this away, we don't have any of that score line there showing on this end. We have a nice clean edge. So I'm going to bring this in and put this right, got to be able to see here, right to the edge of the score line. Bring my cutting blade up, and I'm going to cut down to the 2-inch mark, and watch very carefully as I get close. Pardon my head if it gets in the shot. There we go. I've got that done, and then we are going to put this into the 2-inch mark here, and I'm going to bring my blade down to the bottom, and we're going to cut across to that cut line. And hopefully that cut that away. there we go. Now we have a nice clean line on this side, and we have this when we fold it across here. Ooh, I need a new blade in my machine. Then we have this nice clean edge up here at the top. Okay, looks like it's got whiskers. So I'm just going to need to trim along that edge with my snips and clean that up. One of the things that you can do when you have this problem is to use this is an emery board, and what I'm going to do is just use it to take off all of that beard on that card there, and then I'll change my blade, and you can do it from both sides, and it just takes off anything there that isn't the way you want it. But that definitely has to go. Okay, so there is our card base cut. Now, on our dies, what I'm going to need to do is set this die down. First, let me burnish this fold line here. Make sure we are lined up the way I want to be. There we go. Now I'm going to take the smaller of the two dies, and I'm going to just eyeball it here to get it set in the center of the Dutch door of the card, and I'm going to run that through my machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here I've run that through my machine, and I'm going to just carefully peel this back so it doesn't tear my paper. And I'm going to place my smaller piece of the Evening Evergreen on here as though it were going to fit on here. And I've got a good margin all the way around. And now what I'm going to do is take my larger die, and I can set it up because I can see that side there, and I can actually see through to the bottom of the vellum, and it looks like that needs to be cut right about there. So I'm going to put a piece of tape across it again, and I'm going to cut this piece so that it will fit with a perfect margin around there. And there we go. I've got my cutting done, and I've got my two pieces here, and this one is going to fit right here just perfectly. And so we're all set with that cut, and that's the way you do that if you want to do this kind of a treatment to your door. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to build my flowers. That takes a few minutes, and I've got all of my pieces here. I'm going to bring them all out. I need those two pieces and those two pieces, and I can show you here when the Evening Evergreen goes over the soft succulent on the leaf, it looks like this, and you get that definition. And this is what it looks like if you do it the other way. You have the darker one beneath with the lighter one on top, and I just really didn't like that near as much as getting this kind of a look. So while I cut those, I'm not going to use them. All right, then I have my stem, which I did in Evening Evergreen. I have my outer piece and my bud here all ready to go. And I've got my flower pieces here. and I've got a center. Now, I have learned a little bit since I started working with this. First of all, I am going to, let's see, grab my silicone mat. And I have been using Tombow to adhere this because I wasn't too sure if I just used snail, if these pieces would stay on the vellum. So I'm going to continue with that. And I've got a pair of tweezers here, and I've got my Tombow ink. My Tombow adhesive. And I am going to just put a little bit of Tombow on the back of this little rim. And I'm going to pick it up and put it on my flower. And I don't know if you can see the detail. I'll bring this up in just a second. On these flower pieces, the dies actually have an embossing component to them, and they emboss small lines into this piece. And I don't know if you can see that. I'll move it around in the light. You might be able to catch that, but they've got a bit of embossing on them. So there's one petal, and I'm going to get my other petal here. And really just a very little bit of glue, just enough to make sure that it covers my flower. Okay, I've got my 2 petals done. Now then, I have this piece. Let's see, I need one more piece here. There it is. And this one, I put on this piece first, and then I put this piece on first, and then put this on. And I think it's much better to go the other way because these little pointed ends will end up being behind this piece, and I think that looks a little bit better. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add some Tombow around the edges of my flower rim here. And, oops. All right, so this is going to go on to this flower piece. And the advantage with Tombow is you can move this around just a little bit because it's a lot to line up. And I want that freesia color covered on the back. And there we've got our flower outline completed. There's a lot of little moving parts on this, but it's not really too bad. Now on this one, I'm going to go ahead and add my glue to the back of this, and going to add, at least this was the one that made sense to me for which way to put this together. I added that so that the leaf came slightly off of the bud, and then this piece goes right in here, I believe. So I'm going to add some more glue to the back of this and put my flower, there is a right side and a wrong side here, right in here, and put that together. And there is my bud, all done. Now then, these pieces next need to go on. This one is going to go on over the top of this, and I'm going to get some glue put on it. A little too much glue. And get this. I can see why they gave you the option to cut the pansies out of the paper, because that would be a heck of a lot easier. And I'm going to set that down right over the top of that. I think that's the way it's supposed to go. And then these two petals go here and here behind the flower, which is why it was bothering me so much that that one was upside down. And I guess you just have to decide how big of two petals you want to be able to see from back there, but that looks about right to me. So it looks like, and on this part I did use my plus adhesive for vellum, and actually I think you could use anything. I don't think anything's going to show through with all the other things that are going on here. But let's see. Oh, yeah, I think that's right. This one over on this side, and put that down, and then put my plus for vellum on this side, and tuck this one right in here. And I made the Blackberry Bliss go behind in both cases. And if you know anything about flowers, Mother Nature isn't ever perfect. And that's just fine. Now this little gizmo here is the center of the flower. And I decided, oh, that's way too much glue. I decided that the little point of this thing needed to go up. And the only reason I decided that was because the rim below it is round. So I just laid this little piece right here on top. And there's my flower complete. Now, it shows a little bit the crossovers here in the back, but once you get it put on the card with everything else that's going on, it really doesn't show. And then we have our bud with the stem here to go behind it. So I think we need to put the leaves together. So it's the same kind of thing. In this case, I'm going to try one time to put the adhesive on the back of the leaves and just put that into place over the leaf. And like I said, I really think you could use any adhesive. There's so much going on here, nothing shows pretty much, but isn't that pretty? And the same thing here. I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back of that and put that in place on my leaf. And actually, it does move around a little bit, so you can get it set the way you'd like to. There we go. And I just did 2 leaves because I've got the stem and we've got the pretty Evening Evergreen. Okay, so next I think we need to do our stamping. And what I used was the Everyday Label Punch. And it was big enough to take care of the sentiment. So let me show you the stamp set. This is the stamp set. Now you can stamp these flowers just like we did here using the die pieces, and do all different kinds of things. The wonderful thing about pansies, is they come in just about every color you can imagine. And so there's quite a bit you can do. One of the prettiest ones I've got in my garden are this color, and maybe to even a Highland Heather. And then they've got kind of a brown bottom. And I thought cinnamon cider and that together would look really pretty. It would look just like some of the ones in my yard. Okay, so here I use this sentiment, wishing you a little extra happiness just because you're you, and I use the happy birthday. And so that's what I have mounted here. And let's see, I think I need, let me make sure that this piece is big enough to go into my punch. It is. So I've got my Blackberry Bliss ink, which I decided really set this off so pretty. Okay, and I'm going to center that a bit because that punch is pretty good sized. And make sure I get a good image down. Didn't use my mat. Not happy with it. Let me try that again. Got another piece in. Let me get a little cushion underneath it. And get my stamp right here. There we go. And then I'm going to take my punch and set that here so that I've got my wishing you straight at the top, and I've got an equal margin all the way around, and there we go. There's that done. And I did use a dauber, and I went around the edge, and in this one I went around the edge in Evening Evergreen, and I think it kind of disappeared. So I thought maybe I would go around the edge. This dauber's been both in the Evening Evergreen and in the Blackberry Bliss, and I kind of like the two-tone look of it. There we go. All right, very good. Now I can put this away, and I think we're pretty much ready to put this card together. So let's get our base here and get our inside piece, and I'm going to use my vellum adhesive here. People have been writing and asking what I use, and this is from a company called Plus, and this particular runner is specifically designed to work on vellum, and actually it does a pretty good job. So I'm going to set this in place on the inside of my card and get that put down. Then I have my piece of white, and this piece is quite small, but I wanted that beautiful paper to show there. So I've used that, and I've got my seal here, and we'll get this centered on the middle of this card. And there we go. Now I've got a little bit of glue there. Okay. All right. Persistent little bit of glue. Okay. All right. So there we go. Now that's all set up. Now this piece can go into place right down here. Oh gosh, this is my new favorite color. I just love it. And I'm going to use my plus here as well. And what I did was I just put a little dash in a couple of places here. Now I'm going to set this down so that it has good margins all the way around, and it matches the margins that I've got coming from the top down. This one looks like it needs to move over this way just a hair. There we go. All right. Very good. Now this is going to go up on dimensionals. And let's see. I've got some dimensional bones here. So I'm just going to put those in place. Excellent. Now then, I need some dimensionals. This piece is crisscrossed over enough on the back that no dimensional is going to show no matter what I do. So I'm going to cut a couple of pieces and make sure that I've got dimensionals. I'm going to put one here more towards the bottom, and then I'm going to put another one right more up here towards the top of the center of that flower, and put that into place, making sure that it doesn't get interfered with by opening the card. We're in good shape. And then this let's see. I think this one will put together a little bit differently. How about like that? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add some snail. And put that one in place here. And I did lay it down flat. And then on this, what I think I'm going to do is put one of the leaves flat and raise one. So I think this small one, I'm going to lay down flat, get enough glue on there, like right there. And then this one, I'm going to put up on dimensionals. And again, it's got so much going on here with the leaves and the edges. I don't think you're going to be able to see that dimensional. And no, you can't. Okay, so I'm going to put that one right in there. And there we've got our card put together. Isn't that fun? Okay, now what I did use on this one for embellishments was some of our pastel pearls. And I thought that this lighter pearl here matched this freesia color almost perfectly. So I'm going to add one right up in here. Let's see. I'm going to add one on this side, on this one, and maybe a third one right over here. Okay. Now, we have one, oh shoot, I forgot to stamp my happy birthday on the inside. Let's see, it's fairly flat over on this side. So let me grab my you be smarter than me and finish your stamping right away. And there was no need to put this on straight, and so I'm going to put this happy birthday right over on this end because there's no dimension there and I can get it stamped down. And then you have the whole rest of the card there to put your message. There we go. That is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. Right now, there's a great offer going on. $155 worth of product for $99. And so there's just an extra $35 worth of product, which is enough to get a set of dies or a stamp set or lots of paper. And so that is what the offer is, and it's just through the month of May. It would give you an opportunity to get what you're buying at a discount. The discount that you start out with is 20%. Pretty good deal, actually. $155 worth of product for $99. It's a significant discount. And you're on a team that really will help and support you. We have all kinds of expertise on our team. We can help with social media and blogs and all kinds of things. And we have a lot of fun with swaps and blog hops and all kinds of crazy things. So my number is always listed below the video. Please give me a call if you're interested at all. I'd love to talk to you about it. This is May. My prize will be a $60 shopping spree on me. You put yourself in the drawing by putting an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net, or you can get to it through my blog, www.ingenuity.com. If you've ever thought about joining Paper Pumpkin, from the 7th of May through the 10th, which is the deadline for May, the Paper Pumpkin subscription, first month Paper Pumpkin, I can't spit it out. The first month's Paper Pumpkin subscription is $5 while supplies last. So it's a good way to get in and get going with Paper Pumpkin if you've ever thought about it. Of course, the new catalog is out, which is wonderful. And these are some of the new stamp and die sets to be working with. And I'll be working my way through. The paper on this is very pretty as well. And I may do yet another version of this Dutch door so I can show you how else you can put cards together. That's it for me. I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!